Great. That's great. Okay. So it's all, you're the captain of the ship, Britt.
All right. Very good. I am also going to share my screen. Just easier for me if I have these slides. So, okay, we're going to talk about getting coaches started right. And I chose this topic because I know that in pushing for elite, just in general, duplication is key. And so for your coaches to have success and have them have their coaches have success, that's the whole process. And so one thing I've been working on is getting my new coaches started right. So that's why I chose this topic. Okay, there's 3 things I'm going to discuss. And the first thing is a welcome email. And I always send out a welcome email to new coaches within 24 hours of them signing. And after which, I either schedule a face-to-face if they're local, or a Zoom, or getting started right call, whatever you want to call it. And I always tell them that I want them to go over the email before the call so that they have questions, and so I don't have to go over those things. And I'll get into what I put in my email here in a minute. One of the things that I recently learned I'm going to do is make a 2-minute welcome video. So just link it to my YouTube channel, and just so they can just interact with me virtually in a sense, versus just, we all are always on Facebook Messenger, and for people distance away that they might not know us other than Facebook Messenger. And so, or whatever. And so this 2-minute video is to personalize that introduction. And also, I love this. I just learned this the other day, is in the email, initially, I'm going to write, text me right away so I can save your number in my phone. So when they text me, I automatically have their number, and then we can communicate that way. And it also tells me that they got the email. So it's kind of like a 2 birds with 1 stone thing. Talk about identifying what pace the coach wants to be at, because we know that people can come into the business 3 different paces, generally speaking, 3 different paces, depending on what their goals are. And then also, so my email is chock full of stuff. I feel like it's a longer email than normal. And that's because I want them to have all the resources right there at their fingertips. But I also tell them in the email that it's a lot of information. It's like starting a new job. And so I want you to work through this a little bit at a time, just go through each step, and write down your questions as you go, but just take it one piece at a time, and we'll whittle away at it. Okay, so here are some of the things in my welcome email. I have another video that I have a number of videos. And so I created a video that talks about the 3 different paces that they can go at. And I want them to identify what pace they want to be at. And basically it's walk, run, or sprint. And walking, they want their Shakeology covered. Running is, I want a couple extra $100 a month. And then sprinting would be like, I want to make this a full-time job and go all in. I have a link to setting up their Team Beachbody profile, and I got that link out of the online office. I have a link to navigating the Coach Online office, a link to the 7-day quick start guide that I have them print out. I have a link to the club membership, talking about that. And these all come from the online office. I pulled the links from there. And then I actually linked them to the following year or present year, depending on when they sign up, the Success Club trip to register or to get on the wait list. And I just have them do that from the get-go, because even getting on the wait list, who knows what's going to happen in a few months with the business, and they might regret it if they hadn't done it initially. So, that new coach call link that Joe, you'll have to help me who does it. There's like 2 men from corporate that make that video or that call.
That's Jeremy Redd, the Vice President of Sales, and Kim Carver. He's the Senior Director over training and our Spanish market.
Yeah. So I realized that that link is the same. It just switches each month. And so I have that link automatically in the email. So it's always updated. And my new coaches have access to that. In the email, I have a link to a video about success starters. I think that's super important, especially for those who want to work the business from the get-go. And what a great opportunity to earn a summit ticket. And then I also include the attachment of the compound effect. And that's the first personal development book I have my new coaches read. And then, so they're done with that. And then I say, okay, you finished this part of the email. Here's a link to my new coach briefcase. That's what I call it. And that briefcase is a Google Doc with more things to do. And this is where I have to decide if this is too much to give them at one time, but this is what I've done so far, and I've had success with it. So I'll go over this new coach briefcase also. Other things that you can include in your email is either links or a document for Instagram tips, Facebook tips. Let's see. Okay, so my new coach briefcase. I have a document on how to sign up a new coach. So let's say they're gung-ho and they get going and I'm not available for some reason and they have someone interested in purchasing. So I have a step-by-step on how to sign someone up. I have a document on challenge groups and setting up an event page and setting up a group and starting challenge groups. The order of operations, as I'll call it, for asking questions. I have a document, and I posted it in the group here before in the last round, but it talks about how go to Google first if you have a question, and then the online office, post it in our team page, ask that question, and I'll have to look at it again, and then come to me like last, basically, so that they are empowered and they can go find answers on their own. And that also helps me determine like which coaches are like me, where I want a question answered. I'm just going to go look for the answer instead of constantly contacting my coach. And so I'm trying to teach them there's other ways of finding answers instead of coming to me for every little thing, and that's partly why I try to set them up this way with what they need to get going. Facebook group info, just notifications, how to shut those off or how to put groups into your favorites list. And then a new coach checklist. I think checklists are effective with new coaches because they can print it out and just step by step know exactly what they need to be doing. Oops. So this is what my new coach checklist looks like. And so sharing on social media every day, personal development, coach basics, and that'll be my next step here after. So participating in and completing coach basics. So they're on their own journey. So I have my challenge group that they'll be participating in as well. And adding to their network. So friend requesting old friends and reconnecting. Finding a success partner. Promoting your first 5-day group with your success partner. And if they can't find one of those in the get-go, then I run a group with them and invite them to my free group. And what else? Oh, just daily conversations and talk about the importance of talking to people. Just like Amy said yesterday, she's like, if you're not talking to people, like that's this business. Every day you're talking to people. So I try to emphasize that from the beginning because a lot of people come in, well, not a lot, but some people come in, they think they just have to post and people are going to flock to them because they all of a sudden started this fitness journey and people are just going to say, oh, I want to join you. But just emphasizing they need to be talking to people. And then achieving Success Club 5 or 10 and rank advancing. And this is all in the first month. And I'm even going to push it a little bit so that I talk about hitting Emerald in the first 2 weeks, because I'm also going to talk about signing your spouse and the importance of that, especially if they're in this business seriously and they want to build it and really want to have success from the get-go. Then I'll talk about rank advancing within the first 2 weeks and signing your spouse. And a few other things I include are examples of power hours, inviting resources. So I have some conversation templates in there, and then also a document from the online office about inviting. And then the 3 vitals. a document that identifies the 3 and then links to some team calls we have in our tribe for each of the vital behaviors. Okay, so we have the welcome email. That's the first step. The second step is a GSR call. And that could be by phone or by Zoom. So the person has hypothetically gone through the email and written down questions or whatnot. And then during this Zoom, half hour, an hour, roughly, you talk about social media and posting, talk about inviting, how to sign someone up, if that, briefly go over it again, even though it was in the email a little bit, and talk about challenge groups. And then let me move this, Success Club, talk about Success Club. And I put it twice because it's super important that we start talking about Success Club, whether you use Success Club or you talk about it in terms of helping people, whatever term you use. I think creating that culture from the beginning is key, and then answering any questions. So I feel like as their mentor, I need to set expectations for them, because it's like starting a new job. You don't know what to expect necessarily. And so as their mentor, I think it's important to set expectations for them so they know what to look for. Okay, welcome email, GSR call, and the third thing is to plug them into Coach Basics as soon as possible, because it really comes down to the basics. And I emphasize that with new coaches, that this business is simple. It's easy to do, easy not to do kind of idea, but to stick to the basics and don't reinvent the wheel. We have all the resources that they need to get started. And of course, they're going to learn things as they go. And they don't need to wait 3 or 4 weeks till they study up on coaching to start coaching. They can start coaching from day one because of these basic things. And teach them to become a well-oiled machine at the basics, because it's like wash, rinse, repeat. You're doing the same thing every day consistently, and there's your compound effect and your momentum builds up. And that is all. So these 3 things are basically how I get my coaches started right.
Brittany, that's fantastic. I love that. Okay, so let's do this. Who has any questions for Brittany on her getting coaches started right process? Does anybody have any questions at all?
Question.
Go ahead.
So what you said, you have that identify the pace. Is that a video or a link? Is that just back office?
Yeah, well, actually I created my own video.
Oh, okay.
And I just say there's 3 kinds of paces roughly that you can go at. And do you want me to repeat the different ones?
You said it was like walk,
run, sprint.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. So they just want to get their Shakeology covered. It's just a hobby. You can identify it as a hobby coach. You've heard that term. Or a couple extra $100 a month, just something part-time.
Right.
And then an all-in coach for sprinting.
Okay.
They want to go full-time.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Even you like the paces you identify sound cool, Brittany. This is just awesome stuff. Monica, I saw that you had a question.
Yeah, no, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, your briefcase. So do you just do like a Google Drive for that?
I do. And everything's in that Google Doc or Drive, Google Doc with links.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's a folder,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll get the link to the folder, so they'll have access to all of it. Yeah.
It's like a treasure trove of coaching awesomeness. Okay, so the other question is, do you share, I mean, this one's for me.
Sure.
And you mentioned like not being sure if that was too much.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have somebody that's a walker, you probably wouldn't share that with them, or do you share it with everybody?
I do. I share it with everyone. And then once I know their pace, then I'll inform them. You have this at your fingertips if things change, because I also tell them your pace can change at any time depending on circumstance. And so I do give it all to them, to everyone.
Stacy has a question, then Robin. Oops. Let's go to Robin, then Stacy.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, I'm at the car dealer, so I hope there's not too much background noise. But so I do the I redid my whole welcome email, because it used to be a bunch of stuff, and I think it's just a different strategy. I felt like people saw this huge email and like were already overwhelmed. So I took out a bunch of the stuff that I had written in the email and did a video, and it's less than 2 minutes. Then I did a link, and I used SurveyMonkey, but I think Joe suggested it actually. And I did a link to SurveyMonkey where right below my video, and I tell them, go to the link right below this video and take this survey. And then that survey, as soon as they're done, they submit, I get an email. So I know what pace they are, because that's one of the questions I ask in there. And so I also know their history. I know if they're working. I know if they're a stay-at-home mom. So I have all of that before I even get into the GSR call. So I know how to direct that call versus talking about all those things that I may be completely a moot point. They may not even get on a call with me, and I wouldn't know why they weren't getting on a call with me if they hadn't filled that survey out.
Okay.
Or if they don't fill that survey out, I know they haven't even read my first email, so I know what pace they are, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think that has saved me time and waste of things I'm talking about and information I'm throwing out there that they may or may not look at. And I feel like that's totally helped me. My last 3 coaches that have signed up have watched the video. I know they watched the video. They've clicked the link because I've gotten the survey back. And then I've already had a history of them. Like, I know what their health history is. I know what they do for work. I know what their family is. I've like reformed them basically. Okay. And then I know what to do on the GSR. That's how I'm doing it. I feel like it's better. And then I also know at that point, if I dump them, because thanks to Chenille, my team's recreated the 5-day crash course. So I know if they're like a runner, I'm jumping into the crash course immediately. Like, okay. I don't even wait for a group. I put them in an old group and I'm like, just look at the videos. Because if they're ready to run, they're ready to run. I don't want them to have to wait.
Yeah. And that's my Coach Basics. It's a revolving group. So it's all there.
Yeah.
Like, they're ready. It's all there. So I like that. I do have a question on your video. So I guess I'll go through my email and identify parts that I could put in that video, but what are some things that you put in that video?
I talk about like taking their own pace. I talk about our team and like that we put together as a team, like challenge groups and things like that. So they're not already scared about, I have to do a challenge group, or, I have to come up with a free group. I talk about just little things that just ease them.
Okay.
Would you mind sharing your questions that you put in for your survey?
Yeah.
Because that would be huge. I've kind of been in the same boat where I've had this great email. It's got everything in there, and it just like, I feel like it's just too overwhelming. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've got 500 million things coming at me, and they just get super swamped with, because I have the same video with the 3 steps, or the 3 different types of coaching, and a link to our team website that I created that has, all of their stuff. And some, I just find that they weren't taking full advantage of everything that they have right in front of them. And I get it. It's because my email's like 3 paragraphs long.
Scary. I know. I think mine was too. I think people were freaked out.
Yeah.
And so then you lose them right from the get-go, that they're like, this is too much work. I can't do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Whenever I see somebody post like, warning, long post alert, I'm always like, keep scrolling. Don't care. Honestly, unless they tag me in it, I'm like, but if it's a video, I mean, it literally they could have covered the same exact content, and if I see the video, I'll watch it. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just our generation and me being lazy. I don't like to read as much as others, but I think videos are significantly more impactful, and they're more digestible, I guess you could say. And also, I think you're involving both of your senses. You have your eyes and your ears involved, and people learn more effectively through watching and hearing versus just reading, I think.
Okay, I have a question for y'all really quick, because you guys just talked about it. The Coach Basics is one of the things that I struggle with the most, because I feel like I don't ever really get any engagement out of the coaches that I put in there. And so, I mean, from other coaches that I've talked to, that's kind of the general consensus across the board. So do you guys you said you do a 5-day, or how, and then it's just a revolving, and you just continually add new coaches in there?
Yeah, so I took Chenille's 5-day crash course and recreated it with my words and my videos.
Is that in the on the group? Did I miss
it's in
that?
the mastermind. From a few weeks ago, she posted it. And so I just recreated that. So it's me and my team. And then I also took the back office 60-day coach basics and made it 21 days.
That's what I have, is a 21-day one.
And so from the 5-day, like the last post, if we're going by month, the last post that they see live is the one that says, okay, now we've done this together. You've had these videos and now you're on your own. And I have a training, I have a coach website, and I have a training, and I have all the modules, and I tell them it's self-directed.
Okay.
Now, the only way I know if they're doing it is if I initiate, if they want a weekly call with me. And if they do, then I'm asking them, okay, what module are you on? Where are you?
Okay.
And then if they're not doing it, I've actually started saying, like, we can't talk every week if you're not
doing the trainings.
Yeah. And I basically say, it's not that I don't want to talk to you. It's that I can't help you any further. And I'd rather you be doing that module during that time that we would be talking, that kind of thing.
So Brittany, one other thing too, that I noticed that I really liked about EGSR process is you had like a definition of, or maybe some goals you wanted them to be able to achieve their first month as a coach. And I think it's so important to put out there some objectives. You know what I mean? Like as in your first month, these are the things we want to achieve. Bam, 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 bam. And then there's some action items that were included in there that I think were great. It's and you likened it to what Amy Silverman talked about yesterday. Like Amy Silverman was saying on the call yesterday, which by the way, you guys need to watch if you haven't watched it. It's on the Champions page that, she'll talk with her coaches sometimes and they're like, I don't know why I'm not rank advancing or whatever it is. And she'll be like, well, how many conversations did you have today? And they're like, wait, what? Conversations? What is that? And it's like, that's where the rubber meets the road, right? And helping these coaches kind of identify where the rubber meets the road is a big deal. You need to have those conversations. You need to be reaching out in these ways. You need to be doing these practices every single day, and identifying those from the start is fantastic. I think that's really important because, like you guys said, both Brittany and Robin said, you don't have to wait a month before you can start into this. You know what I mean? Like you can go through a very short amount of training and dive in. And I think that's important. If you don't, it's going to be difficult to reach all of those goals out of the gates. So anyway, I like that a lot. And one other thing that I think you mentioned that was fantastic was creating a culture of Success Club or helping others. When people see that culture and that culture is defined in the beginning, it's huge. Anybody else have any other questions for Brittany or anyone? Go ahead, Tara. Let me unmute you real quick. Oh, come on.
There, I unmuted myself.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Yeah, just like a suggestion that was given to me by one of the elite coaches that's made a huge difference is also in that survey, like what Robin was talking about, having them take the color code personality test. I used to think that was such a load of crap, but I have to say, you guys, like, it is a game changer for me because I have found that I personally misread people who are the white color code. There it is. The people who are the white codes, I like want to say white people, but they tend to come across to me as very standoffish to my personality, and I take it like I'm failing them or they don't like me or whatever, and they're just very independent. And so it helps me know how to communicate with them. And also my blues, I know that they thrive in social environments. And like my reds, like me, like the power, like the to-do list, and they want to do that. So that helps me know how to talk with them. And another thing, just as far as the coach basics, is I do self-paced as well. And I throw them into a group of like 5 people. And I just started doing this. It's just like a Facebook chat because I found that no one was looking in the groups. So they do a Facebook chat and it cracks me up because they'll post that they finished a lesson, and I check my inbox where they submit their lessons, and it's all of a sudden like full of other people because everyone like keeps going. And I mean, I've had 4 coaches this week finish training, which I never had that many in a week, and it's just motivating. So just thought I'd share that.
Wait, so where do you have them? You have them do a lesson and turn it in where?
So I have written in my lessons, and I can share with you guys what that looks like. But at the bottom, it's just like, email your coach the answer to the following questions. And it just helps me to kind of know where they're at. And I use Streak, look it up, but that's how I track where they are with their lessons. So if I see a coach is stuck on a lesson for a couple of days, I can check in and see if they're having trouble with something. But I just have them do self-paced. It's money.
Perfect. Yeah, definitely. If you'll share that, that would be awesome.
That's fantastic.
Thank you. That was awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
This is like an amazing Zoom call today. Everybody's adding so much value. Super fun. Any other questions or any other cool practices that you guys are utilizing on helping coaches get started right?
Brittany, will you share the recording in this team, in the mastermind group too?
Yes.
I want to check out your checklist again too, and
I'll
make one.
post that.
Add that.
And also your PowerPoint, if you would.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
PowerPoint would be great. That'd be fantastic. I love this. Who else is using the actual Coach Basics program from the Coach Online office? Is anybody using that one? Okay.
So I just took that and I put it into a Facebook group. That's all I did.
Cool. That's great. So it's changed from when a lot of you might have came in as coaches. So there's a Coach Basics 2.0 that came through, which was created by some of the coaches in the network that were having the most engagement and success with their Coach Basics programs. And Kim Carver, the guy that we were talking about that's on the new coach call, basically made a hybrid of what all they were doing and ran some test groups. And a lot of coaches had some phenomenal results with it. But I mean, to Tara's, to kind of tip my hat to Tara, like putting out an ability for coaches to engage, whether that's in emailing their sponsor or interacting with one another. It's fantastic. I think it reminds me of the ring the bell approach for Team Cup. Has anybody heard what that's all about, how that works? So on your team page, basically you'd post like a picture of like a bell, like the Liberty Bell in Boston or whatever it is. And every time somebody rings, every time somebody sells a challenge pack or gets a Success Club point, then you just post ring, ring. And then you'd say, you sold a challenge pack or you did whatever. But the cool thing is once, Tara posts one up, then Jack sees it and Jack's like, oh, I totally need to get my points, and then she'll sell one. Then she rings the bell and then Emily sees it and she's like, oh, Jack and Tara already got their points. I got to get one. And it just kind of helps drive the page forward and helps everybody do the practices they need. And it's fun. It's fun because you see what everybody's doing. It's kind of a neat thing for everybody to progress all at once. Anyway, fantastic. Anything else as far as questions or concerns or anything like that with the getting started right process? Okay, everybody, you guys are so awesome. I love these calls. They're so fantastic. If you haven't signed up for a topic yet, I'm going to invite you guys again to sign up for a topic.
They're all filled up. Someone just posted that if they wanted to co-host a. Okay.
All right. So if they're all full, what I might do is I might add a few more topics to the schedule. Or one suggestion that I would ask as well is if you guys want to present and they're all full, what I'd recommend doing is create a presentation anyway. Create something you want to talk about on one of these topics, because honestly what will happen inevitably is somebody's going to have a sick kid or they're going to have some